Happy Friday. So my name is Sarah, and first of all, I've got this little word cloud up because I think they're the coolest thing in the world, and it looks like Australia. Like, there's a website that does it. I thought it was awesome. Okay, so I want you to just have a quick look at all the words. This is what my topic is about. Like, I literally typed in half of the thing, the actual Doug Lemoff explanation, and made it into a word cloud. So what kind of words jump out at you from this? Just shout them out.
Objective.
Yep.
Assessment. Champion.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's great. And can anybody guess what my topic is from this? It might be a bit hard, especially if you haven't read it. Okay, that's fine. We'll just keep going. It's begin with the end. All right, so I felt like I kind of got an easy one because this is basically your learning objectives. This is what in every lesson plan we've been doing, that we will do, it's saying this is what I want you to learn. So instead of just thinking, all right, I'm going to do this cool activity, we're going to dissect a frog, like doing the awesome stuff, you want to think about why am I doing these things, right? So it's like when you write an essay, you always do the topic sentence, the introduction, and the conclusion, and then you go back and fill in the body. That's what most of us were taught. So it's the easiest way to write an essay, I find. So it's focusing on what you're actually trying to communicate and what you're actually trying to teach, not just what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. All right. So actually saying learning outcomes, I like saying by the end of this lesson, students should understand or should know, because learning objectives, I think, sounds a bit abstract if we're talking to teenagers. Like they obviously know the words, but saying this is what you should know. Bam, done. All right, so what I want you to know is what this teaching method is. I'll go through some of the steps, and I want you to feel comfortable using it in your class. All right, so I mean, that's obviously not going to happen until you can actually use it, but I want you to kind of think about how you would use it in your class and, get a kind of solid idea about how you would do that. All right, so the first is progress from unit planning to lesson planning. And I kind of mentioned that at the beginning. You want to have your broad ideas ready to go, and that's a lot of what your curriculum is. Whether it's a class curriculum, a school curriculum, OSVALs, any of that kind of stuff, it's looking at the big picture. What should students learn this year? What are they going to learn next year? What have they already learned? And fitting what you're going to teach them into that framework. Next, use a well-framed objective to define the goal of each lesson. And this is something that they're kind of drilling us into the ground with, is in your lesson plan, say what your learning intentions are, what you're going to do to help students learn those intentions, right? So you really want to set up like a framework, just like you would when you're writing an essay, when you're writing your body paragraphs, which is, the meat and potatoes of what you're doing. Does that saying, I thought that saying was really weird. Does everybody know what that saying means? Yeah, meat and potatoes. Okay. So, when you're going into more detail of what you're going to be doing, you want to make sure you keep it simple and then expand on it. And make sure those simple topics are what you're really trying to get your students to learn. Next, determine how you will assess your effectiveness in reaching your goal. So this has a lot to do with assessment. And looking at how you're going to make sure your students understand your main concepts and what you're trying to have them learn. And that's, we've learned about a lot of those kinds of techniques and talked about those kinds of topics with formative assessments, more standardized assessments, talking, questioning, like a lot of people have covered those kinds of things with, I've already forgotten the names of all the different techniques, but it was that the right is right. Was that yours?
No.
I'm so sorry.
Similar.
Okay, stretch it.
Very similar.
Yeah, where you don't just ask a question, you keep going with it and want an explanation from a student. So it's just thinking about those kinds of things when you're planning. How are you going to ask questions? And then the last bit is decide on your activity. So that's the fun stuff. That's like, let's go dissect a frog. Let's go collect like some pond water and put it under a microscope. Or I guess for like humanities, it would be, you know, get in group work and make up an alternate ending for World War II. What would have happened if Germany won? Which I don't know if that would be fun, but it would be interesting. Oh, that's the end. Okay, but I have an activity. I forgot what I was doing. Okay. Okay, sorry, I don't know where it is, but I actually wrote all of your names down on little pieces of paper, and I was going to bring a hat to pull them out of because I think that's so much fun, like pulling names out of a hat, but I can't do it. So, but I actually did it, and I was pretty proud of myself for writing all the names, even though I don't know you all. So, all right, can somebody volunteer and give me your method or one of your methods? And then we'll think of a topic, like one of the Osbel's things you're supposed to look at. And I just want to practice coming out with an outcome out of that topic. All right, so we're going to begin with the end. We're going to have a method, a broad topic, and we want to say, this is what the students should learn. Mohammed?
Business management.
All right, business management. Can you, off the top of your head, think of a topic that you need any year level to cover?
Marketing.
Marketing. Right, so if we're talking about marketing and we're talking about consumer choices in marketing, right? So why do people buy what they buy and how does marketing play into that? What kind of objective could you have for your students and say, okay, I want you to know this.
Take business.
That's the thing, like I was trying to think how am I gonna work this in? But it's kind of hard because it's one of those you really need to sit down and think it through. You know, and try to come up with it off the top of your head. That's what this whole thing, I keep pointing, it's not very long, but that's what this whole thing is about. It's looking at the big picture, right? So you can't really put these little dot points in unless you have that whole framework. So it's actually a really good example. Like I know you know your stuff really well, so the fact that you couldn't really just come up with something, you know, that shows that unless you look at the whole picture of a curriculum, of, you know, anything you're trying to do in a class, you have to really plan backwards. Look at what the students should learn, and then what you're going to do to make them learn that. All right, so how does everybody feel about this method? Like, hands up if it's understandable, if you think you get it? Yeah? All right, and what about any questions about it? Is there anything that was unclear or you'd like to talk about a bit more?
I'm so excited, sorry.
I know, it's so exciting. Okay, well, that was my learning objective, to make sure people understood this topic and feel comfortable using it in their class, which we will all have to do it. So whether or not you're comfortable with it today, you're not using it today, you'll be using it. Some people have already. Learning objective, this is what you should know. So it's already been used. I mean, Aaron and a couple other people said, this is what you should know. And that's something we're all going to use in all of our planning for as long as we teach. It's like the basis of good learning.